just going to try and focus down a lot of these really proactive junglers for Xun and just make sure that he isn't on some of his comfort picks. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they pivot this over for their last ban to maybe target something as relates to the bot lane, but it seems like BLG kind of have that covered. The Karma ban, the Ashe ban, wouldn't be surprised if we see something like a Nami potentially thrown down here as well, just to deny another enchanter from Vampire, which has kind of been his style for the entire year. I think that Vampire has really made a name for himself, being able to play a lot of these enchanter champions and back up his backline.
I do appreciate the Rumble ban as well over to Xiaoxu. He was able to have a little bit of fun on that one as well. But I do wonder if it is just going to be 3 jungle bans here to start off from JDG.
I feel like Varus.
Yeah, could be Varus. We have seen that still such high priority. It's going to be the Nocturne. So 3 jungle bans towards Xun. Gotta respect the GOAT, bro.
Yep. So BLG. Yeah, well, I mean, he's rising up in GOAT status for me too, personally, Mazel. You know, I'm new to the LPL, so like I gotta take time.
Well, let me indoctrinate you, all right?
All right. This will be another series of like your case build up to throw in there. Yes. But yeah, we see BLG are like, all right, they're just really not a big fan of Xun, but we are a massive fan of you, so we're going to give you your first pick. Psych! It's going to be an Orianna instead. Why would you do my boy like that?
You got baited. Well, it's not going to be with the Nocturne, that's for sure. We'll see what they want to go with here. If JunJia is going to get his prio here as well. The Xin Zhao was hovered over by BLG, but will be taken by JunJia and JDG. That Varus was already picked up as well there, so that'll be a nice little damage combo that they have set up for themselves.
I wonder here if BLG are just going to opt to maybe go for their bot lane here. We talked about the importance of trying to get at least one of those pieces in the bot lane down in the first 3 picks. So we can see the Sivir being hovered here. Ezreal is still up, but they're choosing to forsake that here in favor of, yeah, the Sivir Bard, probably just looking to get on the map as much as possible and make sure that he can affect this top side that we have been talking about so much. So now JDG have an option here where do they want to counterpick the Orianna and look for something good into the matchup against Knight, or do they want to finish this bot lane off with a pairing to go with this Varus? And it looks like they're going to choose the former, Galio being hovered here. Obviously pretty good at soaking up that damage against the Orianna, but then switch up to the Azir. Helps in the range department, but I think a lot of people have been a bit skeptical on this champion since the nerfs. He has been prioritized a little bit less, and also a lot of people have been building Rocket Belt on this champion, Mazel, and I'm going to be honest with you, I hate Rocket Belt on this character.
Well, hey, we'll see if you are righteous or if they win with it. Then I guess the argument kind of goes down. We'll see. But yeah, I find it really interesting. The Bard for On, always a fun one. Watch that guy win a domestic championship, going 0-9 on that. It feels good. That's always going to be in my memory. As we're in the second phase, who'd have thunk it? More jungle bans. 4 jungle bans so far from JDG. Lord. They are terrified of Xun, and rightfully so.
I have to pull up the LS draft tool to see which champs are like left for bro here. Like, this is absolutely brutal. Xun is really getting targeted down here. No top lane bans either, I think, is really interesting, because normally, you know, we talked about the difficulties that Xiaoxu in particular has been having up against Bin in the matchups. I think that he has really struggled in that 1v1. So it's kind of surprising to me that they don't give any attention over to top lane, and it's 5 jungle bans from JDG. Tabe, what are you cooking, my guy? How much do you hate this guy?
Dude, Tabe's like, shit, man. I don't want to do that. I'm good. I'm like, we need to get this guy on something different. Get the Kindred out. All right. My God, that is incredible. That shows the level of respect that JDG has for Xun. Incredible stuff to see that kind of hyper focus from JDG. It is the Renekton ban finally from BLG, and we'll see what JDG want to go with here. Obviously, we'll still have 5th pick counter pick. It's going to be Ambessa first and foremost, so it looks like support counter.
Yeah, Ambessa really good in a vacuum. Doesn't have like a lot of premier counter picks. I think that Jax is actually a pretty good matchup into the Ambessa, being able to outscale it and also deny the energy from being able to reset when you get those auto attacks off. Counter-Strike is really good in that regard. But the big question, what is Shun going to be going for here? You got 5 bans levied against you. I think Skarner is probably your best bet here just to set up for the damage dealers to actually operate in this game. So yeah, I'm totally down for this lock-in. I don't actually think there are a lot of great options left, if I'm being honest with you. So yeah, I think Shun kind of shoehorned into going for this pick because of JDG throwing so much attention over with those jungle bans, but it does mean every other lane Mazel gets freed up pretty significantly. You see the Jace lock in here for Bin, and I feel like this against the Ambessa, we already know that this is going to be a big lane to watch.
Yeah, and Skarner has seen a little bit of a rise, at least, in what
buffed.
it does on the map. Got some buffs, not too bad. The Jace is going to be an interesting one as well. We'll see how Bin can pilot that one in the top lane against the Ambessa. But now is the all-important pick for JDG. What do they want to get in that bot lane to try to counter up that 2v2? It's going to be the Nico for the engage of Vampire.
And this just feels like a full engage comp here from JDG. I think that the Nico on 5 is a little bit insane because we already kind of identified that this was going to be a go-in comp, and I feel like Nico would have helped identify that a little bit sooner. But this does definitely point to JDG wanting to go forward. This is a comp that very much so wants to accelerate the game pace, and I think that the big kind of linchpin in order to do that is going to be JunJia on the Xin Zhao. We talked about the dynamic pathing of this character being able to cut through a lot of those full clears and just look for any aggressive opportunity. JunJia has been known to do this. He has been a player who I think adopts the style that Shun really put forward in a lot of the series that we have been seeing from him lately, which is that you don't always necessarily need to full clear, but he hasn't been able to unlock it nearly to the level of Shun. So I think that this will be a good game to find out whether or not my Mans has got the sauce and whether or not he's able to accelerate some of these lanes forward, because once the team fight goes around, those 5v5s, if you're behind, you're not going to really be able to run away. Like, you're going to have to go forward, and that means you got to get ahead early.
That being said, it means it's time to get onto the Rift. We're getting so close to seeing this finals domestic rematch, but as well as an international rematch from that first stand tournament, and being able to see BLG reign supreme there internationally. They got to come back home and take care of business. This was a team that had brought them to the brink in many series there in that split 1, and see if JDG can kick it off running here with split number 2. It's JDG versus BLG, the match everybody's been waiting for all week, and we're getting to it now. Oh my God.
Holy moly.
There's a lot of BLG fans, I think. Quax, you know, it might be because they just won the first international for LPL in 3 years.
Maybe.
Who knows?
That probably has a factor into it, but also I think a lot of teams are going to be looking at BLG. Not only have they, I think, set the standard for LPL domestically, where every other team in Ascend is going to be looking at their level as a bar to surpass in order to try and kind of take that crown from them, get to an international alongside them, but also every team internationally is going to be looking at these guys because they have raised kind of the standard, the bar of what it means to be the champion. These guys won the international. You have to be better than them if you want to take their place. So all the eyes, not just in the LPL, but around the world, are on this squad here.
Kicking it off strong. We have the double Arcane Comet bot lane. You'd love to see it. Very poke-centric for JDG here in the laning phase itself. And we'll see how those things... you might be saying, wait, but there's Gala and Viper right down there. Why have you not talked about bot lane? And it's because, you know, Gala having a pretty good split. Viper didn't have the grandest of moments, and it was definitely a spotlight on the rest of the team that we were seeing from BLG. We'll see if they maybe change our minds here to open up this split. We're really looking at this top side of the map, especially with both junglers, I feel like not all the time seen, pathing both of their ways towards top.
Yeah, and getting toward finishing those full clears as well, we can see that the priority is heavily favoring BLG in those solo lanes, so I think that Shun should have no issue just being able to cross over to that river and take this crab. Meanwhile, though, JunJia probably going to have to go toward the bot side just to make sure that he isn't being majorly chunked out around this crab, because he's got really no one to back him up at the current moment. And that could maybe open up a door for him to impact this bot lane. Like we've talked about a little bit, we don't expect this Sivir to be heavily played around in a Bard lane, but as I say, there's not going to be a fight around the crab. JunJia throws his spear.
Very close to getting some early action here already on a roam as well, trying to get as much influence on the map as possible. And that has been such a big thing in every series these teams have faced off on, is how much control is given early. We're going to see BLG try to make a dive here in the top side against Xiaoxu. We've seen this time and time again, but this time it's Skarner, so very tanky here. They can't get very good damage down. The dive is a little bit flubbed there.
Yeah, it's a little bit difficult to dive the Ambessa just with all of her mobility, not to mention Xiaoxu having flash. And when you're going things like a Skarner, you're going to be a tank. You're not going to really be a damage dealer. So I think that it's definitely wiser for BLG to back off here. Luckily, it doesn't cost Shun a lot. He's still going to be able to make his way down toward the bot side, though. JunJia will have a slight tempo advantage over the Skarner. We'll have to see if he can make use of that anytime soon, or if Shun can find a gank before then to circumvent that.
We'll have to be checking in on kind of those next paths for the junglers, see if they want to take any wild routes or if it's just going to be stock standard, as we did end up seeing the Summoner spell heal burned from Vampire there to get away from a potential engage from Viper and On. And they will keep presence down there in that bot side, at least for a little bit. But
ooh, they canceled the backs.
No! Oh, that feels bad. The Ricochet doing some work there from Viper. Going to keep them in lane. We'll see, actually. Looks like Vampire is going to fully take that back, leave Gala here. But influence from these supports is going to be extremely important here. You look at it a little bit differently from both sides. On is just going to be a nuisance. Is going to be there to kind of light the way for Shun in a lot of cases. Whereas Vampire is going to be looking for those engages for JDG.
We can see Vampire as well is looking to impact the mid lane here because HongQ is low on health, low on mana. And even though Gala was forced to say, you know that Viper and On are going to reset, as JunJia has found Shun.
JunJia does win the skirmish here earlier on. It's going to be the multi-engage here from the mid lane, though. Vampire is here, but On is joined.
HongQ went
goes in on the Knight, but I don't know if he wanted to do that necessarily. Big shockwave coming through on the Vampire, but not enough damage there. Shun says, where is my damage? It's right here at the tip of my claw, as it's going to be On that flashes for the kill there in first blood for BLG.
And all the while, when we were focusing on the 2v2, I mean, Shun was just like pincering and clawing through JunJia on this Skarner. I mean, no damage, tank be damned. My man was chunking him out, and then On with the flash, last couple of autos, manages to secure that first blood. Not necessarily where you would like the gold to be allocated if you are BLG, but hey, I won't complain if I'm getting first blood.
True. On actually was having an incredible split in split number 1, and I know his Bard is decently feared, obviously with some fluctuations there, but this right here is just a nasty play. I think HongQ definitely didn't want to kick that one off necessarily.
Yeah, and I mean, we're focusing on Vampire. We're thinking he'll be the one to be focused on, but then Shun slams JunJia into a wall. He's forced to try and flash away. On does a follow-up and manages to secure that one. So our eyes were in the wrong place, Mazel. Now Dragon has spawned in BLG with a slight lead. You can see just how much control they have over that river now.
Dude, On is just dicing him up here. Look at these moves, man. He's dodging out of everything.
I'm Varus, fear me.
Back. Yeah, there you go. Vampire trying to figure out which one of his teammates On is scared of there. As Knight hovering nearby, but this is the presence that On can have on the map on his Bard to just keep JDG having to answer questions while Shun just continues to farm.
And On is just jailing Vampire here all the while. I mean, Vampire is helping to keep a push in this lane. Dodges the chains of corruption there. Good movement by Viper. And like we said, that Dragon is still up. Level 6 Hictor for Shun, and Knight as well also has his ult, but they're actually not going to be going for that objective. Instead, opting to continue trying to accelerate their individual pieces before fully committing to a team fight.
We will have the Grubby Tubbies coming to town here in just a little bit, and I do expect that to be a primary focus here, potentially with the end of the clears coming up this way. As it's going to be JDG to go for a play on tonight. He does have Shun right around the corner. Vampires here as well, so will rebuff BLG from any type of engage. Shun should be fine here. And he will be worse for wear ahead of this objective. Could just go for the Dragon trade if they want to.
Yeah, but like you said, it was the shuffle used by HongQ, and these grubs are coming up in just a couple of seconds, so that's an ultimate down for JDG. I'm wondering now, with the redeploy on the map here by On, we can see the Bard moving up. They'll have ult advantages if they can maybe try and contest for these grubs, knowing that there is no shuffle available for HongQ.
Smooth criminal here. JunJia going for the Krugs is successful in stealing those away from Shun, who will end up getting his red buff here, and we are seeing the start of the grubs. On going for a play on a HongQ, does not hit, and that will be JDG moving down from the grubs. Looks like they're going to continue fishing for this one here, as they do have first move from Ben if they want to. Looks like they might just give it, though.
And they didn't go for that cross map that you mentioned was a possibility earlier, Mazel, so it'll just be grubs for free, and nothing really available here for BLG. They can try and set up a zone around this bot side when Knight gets on that redeploy and can maybe shove in this wave. Then they can go for a dragon. But I say that, and I believe immediately Shun just started up that objective, so I'll eat my words.
He is, and he might actually have a good amount of time here, because JunJia is going to start clearing up his side of things, and he won't be anywhere nearby, as that will be dragon number 1, an Infernal Dragon. Pretty worth there for BLG with a small little lead in this earlier part of the game. But now that we are kind of all here almost, at least with the supports almost having their level 6s, let's talk about those compositional strengths that both are bringing to the table here when we start getting these inevitable team fights that are coming our way, Quack.
We were talking about the importance of HongQ having that shuffle if there was a team fight to be had, but also not to mention Vampire didn't have ult, so I think that those are really the two central go buttons, especially before Xiaoxu on the Zambesa is able to be unlocked. You have multiple ways to start up a fight as JDG, but you have to be very mindful of those cooldowns. Because if you don't have them, BLG, I think, have the superior poke with things like the Sivir and the Jace, not to mention just now getting that Infernal Soul means that that's going to hurt a little bit more. So they have to be the guys willing to pull the trigger. And if they're not, I think BLG can just slowly whittle them down, and then who knows, maybe a Shun or a Knight can throw down to start up a fight, and with the health bars already chunked, they'll be able to win it for sure.
I'm starting to get a little worried about that top lane. Obviously, you saw the trade there. Ben definitely more heavy-handed than Xiaoxu. And it was a situation where they picked Vampire's Nico on the last pick. You wonder what could have been if maybe Xiaoxu had gotten that counter pick, but will it matter in the end? I guess we won't ever know, as that top lane is going to be something we have to focus on later on, because Ben can really start to do some damage in the side lanes. Yeah.
Ben, Serpent's Fang first item, by the way.
I like that.
Just to spite Xiaoxu on the Ambessa, really, who is going to pick up a first item for himself, but we've been talking a little bit about what recent series have entailed when looking at these two teams and the matchups that they've had. And really, I think that BLG, good dodge there by HongQ, a big strategy of theirs has been to try and just bully Xiaoxu. Like, we said that Ben in a vacuum is able to get the better of Xiaoxu in the matchup, but BLG have definitely had this strategy where they say, hey, let's just all go to the top lane. And speaking of all going to the top lane, JDG are pinging on the way to try and get Ben. Vampire is in the minion wave. Does Ben know? I think he does. No, he doesn't. He's walking up.
He doesn't. Public Execution comes out with the Pop Blossom on top of it, and Ben's going to try to get some damage back, but the clone is enough to save the day, and JDG get on the board.
But we can see a cross map here by BLG. I mean, Viper is getting plenty of plates. All of JDG over-indexed into that top side. Now it's just a race. I think both teams are going to be sprinting to try and get this first turret gold. But the difference are going to be those grubs. It certainly will help JDG to win that race. So overall, I think JDG on top of the kill, probably winning out in that trade, being able to set Ben further and further behind on this Jace, who, if he doesn't get ahead early, it can be really detrimental, because outside of the innate damage, Jace doesn't really offer you a lot in the wake of utility, Mazel.
Very true, and he went very specific with that Serpent's Fang build first as well. You can see Viper just trying his damnedest to get this turret, but it is not going down easily. Xun was able to clear away a little bit of JunJia's camps there, so have a small little advantage in the jungle. We do see as well that quests are coming up completed very soon, and we have about a minute and a half till another dragon. Still, does that mean that we're going to see BLG really focus on that bot side of the map to try to get this stacking going?
Not really sure about BLG just yet, but I can definitely say that JDG are paying a little bit more attention toward that bot side with the role swap or lane swap rather, is in the bush, maybe looking to interrupt HongQ, but HongQ cancels his back, so it's very dangerous for him to stay here, but not if his jungler is in the area.
On just being a cheeky devil on the Bard, which is exactly what you should do. We do have first items completed across the board here pretty much. Even On having his first completed item now with that locket since he got that early kill. Does that make a difference in some of these fights here coming through? Especially, I'm sure we're going to get some more 5-on-5.
Yeah, I mean, Essence Reaver for the Sivir is pretty big. So I am definitely going to say I think BLG having these first items is going to be a really big deal. I wonder how the Serpent's Fang is going to impact the fight at large if Bin decides to join up. Doesn't look like he's going to. He is, after all, heading toward that top side. So if things get really bad, maybe BLG can stall out until he gets that teleport back up. It is almost off the cooldown after all. But the other big thing, Knight getting that turret, more gold into the Orianna, who already has the Ludens on top of the upgraded boot. So it just feels like BLG are better suited to fight for this dragon if it actually does come down to a scrap. Not to mention On, just again and again in this bot side, constantly fishing for these picks and fishing for any kind of damage on top of that.
Yeah. And I will say just a little thing for JDG, they have so much vision around the top side, man. Multiple control wards up there. Yeah. But another thing that this kind of style from On is doing is just constantly pressing buttons. You have to put some mental capacity towards answering On, or he's just going to get away with some deep wards. He's going to get away with information that is so crucial for BLG. And the entire time, BLG is still executing their game plan behind what he's doing. As you see, another dragon does fall.
And now maybe all of that topside vision will help JDG out as the next objective, that being the Rift Herald spawning in just a couple of seconds here. If JDG can get this and knock down a tier 1 structure, I think this will really help them to start looking competitive around these future dragons, because not only can you wait until the next dragon comes up to drop pressure potentially toward the bot side river, but also you knock down a turret and that space you as JDG are going to be able to take. So I think that this Herald is actually really important for them to capture if they want to have better angles going forward around these future bot side dragons.
Does look like everybody's coming up here for this tussle. JDG going to be first in front of the Rift Herald, but BLG closely behind with Xun coming out of his jungle now. It looks a very hesitant play from JDG. They'll move away from the Rift Herald and save that fight for another time.
We can see that the wave for BLG pushed in mid, so they're fishing for picks. On is looking around. Wind Become Lightning does tag him, but just gonna walk on away. I'm really paying attention to the ebb and flow of these waves, because every single time BLG get pushed, you can see they're just moving up to the river to try and capture some more vision and deny vision from JDG.
Shun's just in the back of the pit here. They do have TP coming from Knight. He will initiate that one. Rift Herald down to about half health. Vampire missing another Tangle Barb. There goes the Tempered Fate here. It does connect, but they can't follow it through. Xun wants to go for the objective, and he gets the smite right over JunJia. His smite is stronger, and JunJia will go down. What an incredible execution from BLG.
And then Xun as well, also landing the ultimate onto JunJia, so they get to, steal the kill for themselves. On top of that, a beautiful steal, a beautiful 1-for-0. JDG, they had control of the zones, but it felt like they were all mispositioned up toward that top side. They were closer to the top lane, so when all of BLG just waltz in through the bot side closer to mid, they have no trouble getting into the pit, and they easily get to steal that objective. It just felt like the JDG members were in the right place, but they weren't actually around the right zone in said place.
And Xun was just feeling himself there. I mean, he started that fight in the pit against their entire team, at least the advantage that they had in this fight, and now we see what happens.
And like, look, they're all on this top side. They focus on Bin. That goes awry. No one is on this bot side. All of BLG just flood in, and JunJia is left to the wolves. So he's the only casualty. It's still a decent case scenario for JDG, but they are slowly bleeding gold here. Mazel has now around a 4,000 gold lead has materialized for BLG. Next Drake will be soul point for them as well, and with a Herald, that thing can definitely turn a bad situation to worse one.
I mean, it felt like you were just on a mountain with some fresh snow, and then all of a sudden you hear a little bit of rumbling. You're like, oh, it's fine. You continue going, and then next thing you know, you have an avalanche on top of you. And 5,000 gold early on. They won't get the second charge off. JunJia does smite that one away, but against BLG, giving them control like this is their bread and butter. When they have a strong hand on the map, they will choke the life out of the enemy team, and it seems like that's what they're doing now.
No vision for JDG, but they
that's
know
a
they're
TP
coming.
as well. Holy!
And now Xiaoxu's got nowhere to go.
That's gonna be on. Oh, they both move out of the way, and it's just like part of the Red Seas there. And unfortunately, Xiaoxu will only see red as Viper gets his first influence into the game with his kill. At least he had the assist earlier, but it has been BLG favored all along as HongQ tries to get a little bit of gold back on bot lane.
Yeah, he'll get a couple of plates for his efforts. You can see that Knight is moving down toward the bot side. And now that we have both mid and bot lane tier 1s taken for BLG, they can really start to extend that vision line. We've already seen what On is capable of with this Bard when it comes to gathering information ahead of a fight. But there isn't a lot of time to gather that information. We're only 30 seconds away. There isn't a ton of vision for BLG, so they'll try and set up these waves, but they won't actually have a lot of really solid vision going into this fight, which means JDG can try and walk in and look competitive. They are 5,000 gold down, though, so I'm not sure the vision is the biggest factor at play here, to be honest.
And it's just one of those creeping suspicions, you know. I mean, we have Dragon coming up. That's going to be an important moment. That's where JDG can look back and like, darn, like we gave over those dragons to try to get other things, and it wasn't enough. And now they're put in a very tough position. We also have those second items coming through. I mean, Miramana's almost there for Bin as well. And you're going to have a lot of damage on BLG's side ahead of this fight. JDG want to try to stop the momentum. They don't have to, but it would be really nice to.
Xiaoxu is cut off from the rest of the team. He does have teleport, but if BLG can find a snap engage, it's a temporary 4v5, and here comes Shun.
Thinking about it, there's the Pop Blossom, does land on a couple, but Vampire's
he's totally alone.
Disconnected from JDG as a TP comes in from Xiaoxu, but he's again disconnected. You got to start looking at those telephone wires and make sure they are connected right now, because JDG have nothing in these fights. They will falter yet again. 4 for 0 in favor of BLG.
Vampire is isolated. All of BLG collapse onto the Nico, and Shun is there on the Skarner to make sure that nobody can assist their support. Xiaoxu is too late on the teleport. That snap engage, like we said, comes through for BLG, and now Soul Point to be their reward, along with plates on the side lane tier 2s.
Oh my god, dude. You look back on the map, you're like, oh, maybe JDG were getting something somewhere else. It's like, no, they were losing turrets in top and mid. They lost the objective. They 9,000 gold down. See if they can take down Ben. He's very strong. He's about to get his transformation in just 9 more stacks.
Oh, teleport.
They're going to double TP. Look at the portals, the Hextech portals. Ben has baited the entirety of JDG. All of BLG show up. The exhaust comes through there. Knight still has not fallen. Ben did, but they'll get a double kill for Knight. They'll get another grand slam for Shun as he takes them down. It's going to be Viper getting that kill over JunJia, and they'll go straight back to the Baron.
Amazing reaction there from BLG, and Knight in particular teleporting to the wave, taking the portal, surrounding JDG. And Bin does go down, but it is not in vain. They'll march on to the Baron, and there is no possibility for a contest. Maybe some turret plates and a tower for Xiaoxu, but at this point in the game, 22 minutes in, Mazel, that's a consolation prize at best.
It is. It might be a pity prize at this point. 10,000 gold almost. 22 minutes in. When we were looking at this matchup, we were thinking, yes, it has been very BLG favored in the last few times that they've faced off against, but there was those wonderful memories of JDG being the first team to take a series off BLG, one of the only teams to take games off of BLG, and you were wondering, is that time off. The like 2 weeks that we had since we've seen these teams, is it enough for JDG to kind of full learn the way to deal with BLG? And it so far in game number 1 has not been the case. BLG looks stronger than ever against this JDG team.
And frankly, I feel like BLG are the ones that stepped up, right? We talked about, is it a discussion about JDG maybe looking a little bit worse? Is Shun?
He's going to flash away from the chains of corruption there as well. He's still a tanky boy as the Baron buff still doing its magic here. And they'll take another turret. They'll find that tier 2 in bonsai. Vampire going on yet another.
Here we go again.
What is Zhao doing behind us as BLG find him? That'll be a big Pop Blossom straight onto Ben, who is not very tanky with the Tempered Fate's going to buy time, and here comes the rest of BLG. They might go a little bit too ham. Ben still hasn't died, by the way. Ben is still alive. He's going to flash away. JunJia just says, I have to get him. He will find his mark, but he'll fall immediately after. Xiaoxu trying to do his Beyblade best, but that best is not enough. And a double kill goes over to Shun. Vampire started this whole play and will finally die. It's a solo kill tonight, actually, in the end, and that's a full and total ace of JDG by BLG.
Once again, congratulations, you got Ben, but you lost everybody in the process. BLG make every trade worth it. It is a steal at this point, and they continue to dominate this matchup, Mazel. This is looking like a game 1 victory for them.
They're taking all 3 lanes at once, but we do have respawns, so don't think they'll be able to get the inhibs at least. And Shun maybe actually overextending now as the Hextech portal is coming back to help out JDG.
HongQ has ult in a couple
seconds. It's going to be Shun going for a play. He's actually taking HongQ down. No way he kills HongQ here. Okay, he dies. It's over.
Yep. Emperor's Divide came up just right on time, and you can see Shun in the player cams laughing right there. He's having a good time. My man is feeling himself absolutely. Hey, if I got that smite fight on the Herald, I'd be feeling myself too. Ever since then, it feels like the mood in BLG has been one of elation and just constant kinetic proactivity. These guys are so good, like we said in the pre-show, Mazel, at taking an advantage, even the smallest of things, and being able to push them to their limit as advantages.
It's starting to become a trend where, you know, in this one maybe not as much, but HongQ kind of puts up with Knight in a lot of ways. But in these last like 3 series, it's been something where like it feels very quiet for Knight, but then you look down to his KDA and he's like some crazy KDA every time. Like he's like 8-0 and 6 or something like that, and you just are like, this guy is completely handling post laning phase HongQ, who's a very good developing player, but he seems to have run into a brick wall that is named Knight, and unfortunately that's the same case for a lot of the LPL.
That brick wall is about to get a lot more electric as the Hextech Soul coming up in about 10 seconds, and BLG once again, tell me if you've heard this before, have control of the bot side.
The very end of the Istall's impact hits onto Gala, and he will just fall. JunJia tries to go for a kill on but won't get him. Will just die to another double kill for Knight. It's going to be a little pick on the side here, as just making mincemeat of JDG here. As it's not safe for television, but it is safe for Twitch, as we will end up seeing BLG push down bot lane for the victory in game number 1.
Yup, they don't need a soul. They don't need that at all. JDG 4-19. BLG once again prove who is the top dog in the LPL, who is potentially the top dog in the world, and why these guys are the international champions. They start their second split off with a bang, Mazel.
17,000 gold up 26.5 minutes in. It is due diligence, but it is domination from Bilibili Gaming. And that loud Jio was rightfully given to them, as the crowd going to be extremely happy with that first game. And honestly, it's like they never left.
Deathless game for 3 out of 5 members of BLG. Yeah. I think domination is an understatement for sure. These guys came to play, and a lot of people were maybe concerned that like it would take some time for them to warm back up after so much competition and playing so much and not having necessarily a ton of time to rest. Who needs time to rest? These guys never left. They're still on fire, and it's up to every team in the LPL to try and put them out.
And, you know, you even got some moments from Viper and On there, people that we didn't talk about too much going into it. So a holistic team performance, but I'm going to be biased here. I'm sorry. Come at him again, JDG. 5 jungle bans, bring more. We'll give you 10. Go ahead. Take as many as you want.
Yeah,
come at me
will
again.
Help you out. They'll ban some junglers too. You know, we'll work together. We're gonna force this guy to bring out the Kindred at this point. We were actually talking about the validity and viableness of Kindred before we went live, Mazel, and you said this champion sucks. I said, yesn't. I guess if the situation calls for it, if you have like 6 jungle bans plus fearless bans, maybe desperate times call for desperate measures.
I just wonder, is it like, does JDG do it again? Do they ban 5 junglers again? Like, are you too deep in the hole at this point, or are you just shallow enough that you can still pull yourself out? I guess is a lot of questions to be answered for JDG, and especially, I mean, like we were saying, it's not very long since these teams came back from international. These are the least rested teams of the entirety of the LPL. Yeah. And BLG still look like they're firing on all cylinders, which is an incredible thing. You wonder how that longevity is going to last. Obviously, it's a long split as well, but to be already on the same page this far in just a game number 1, I don't want to be a game 1 Andy, but it is it's refreshing to see that there is no fall off as of yet. We'll see what happens in game number 2 if JDG can find a better draft.
And I do have to give like a lot of credit over to Bin for that game, because he was focused down pretty tremendously in this game. Like JDG were really overloading sides to deal with him in mid to late game. Even in the early game, they were making sure to keep Bin in check as much as humanly possible, and he still managed to have a lot of relevancy. He was grouping up all of JDG. The rest of BLG were able to take the fight to JDG after the fact, and I just feel like Bin was able to keep himself relevant in a game where he was heavily focused in that game.
Yeah, at least you're wondering what the counter pick could have been. Again, I don't think it matters now that we've seen the culmination of game number 1. Xiaoxu didn't really have much of an impact, and that's kind of been the tail of the tape against Bin. And I gotta say, the kind of damage-centric Muramana build for Jace, I love to see it. Bin's feeling himself there. But after a certain moment, it just didn't feel like there was a fight that BLG could lose.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, like, when you are starting to see, like,
this multi-thousand
gold leads, yeah, this is absolutely insane. He lives for just long enough for all of BLG to take the portal and surround JDG. It happened, like, twice this game. We'll see the second time in probably a couple of plays, but, man, like, Bin's ability to just corral everyone, here it is, corral everyone in, the rest of BLG collapse, and then they get the fight win. And I feel like when, to your, you know, point earlier, Mazel, when you're starting to see like multi-thousand gold leads from multiple members, not even 20 minutes into the game, that just goes to show BLG print money. This is a team that just, they're Rumpelstiltskin. They spin straw into gold. These guys just managed to get so rich on the map so darn fast.
And I feel so bad. So many of these last clips are just JunJia trying so damn hard to get 1 kill, man. Like, just give it to him, please. And this one, unfortunately, On is too dastardly.
Too slippery.
Yeah. Dude, and poor Xiaoxu missing the public executions time and time again from some good moves of BLG. Everyone was on their A game for this game number 1. But I guess that brings me to, as we're going to be getting to an MVP for game number 1, what do you think JDG needs to do to change up? Is it the draft? Is it execution in game? What do we need to see different from this team?
It's kind of hard to like say what they need to do in game, because again, I just feel like it was a case of BLG playing better and having more control over the game. We talked about the importance of dragons, especially now in this season. I think that a lot of people have questioned kind of the validity of going for the grubs and how effective they are in season 16. I think a lot of people will tend to agree with each other that dragons are probably the more cost-effective objective, at least as far as win conditions go. So focusing those would definitely be nice, as On
fresh
the guy
cut, fresh bar.
get
Let's go.
Player of the. I'm actually in support of it. I mean, this guy.
Dude, that guy was a
owned
menace.
the bot lane. Like not, and I'm not
He
even just
owned the
talking about
jungle.
the lane. He owned the entire bottom hemisphere of the map, and he was in complete control of it. Like this guy just owned that area.
Yeah. Again, I think it's something that's so undersung. Is like, you may see him, you know, being caught on vision, getting a couple auto trades with somebody on JDG, but you also have to think like the entire time that that's happening, JDG have to find solutions to deal with him, and that just takes that brain power away from your general strategy in the game, and on having a massive influence for that game number 1. But we'll see if they can continue having that kind of influence for game number 2. If JDG maybe bring us to 3 games, I hope, crossing my fingers. But before we get going into the dark for that game number 2, if you'd like to support LPL English, please consider becoming a coffee member. Coffee is the best way to support the LPL English project, since the vast majority of your contributions go directly to the show and paying all the volunteers that make this project a daily thing. I guess a couple days off now,
Not anymore.
but not anymore. It goes to paying on-air talent. It goes to paying for all the broadcast upgrades and things that we do. So please go subscribe to our coffee. It'll be linked in chat. You can unlock perks and all that fun stuff. But we got perks going into game number 2. BLG looking strong as ever. Will they continue it, or can JDG come back? We'll see you then.